Hello and welcome to show number 69, the Bill and Ted edition of the 1420 Sports Podcast. For beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. Brought to you today by our friends at Natty Light. The cool, crisp, clean, refreshing taste of Natty Light. There's something about that beer. I'm your host, Brent Radlinski, recording from the basement studios of Yankee Tavern North in Lethbridge, Alberta. Spring training games began today with the New York Yankees facing off with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'll discuss the American League East and predict where each team will finish in the standings. Buyouts would be the working man's dream. Get paid, don't go to work. Sounds good to me. I'll discuss some of the largest buyouts in sports history. The Team Canada debate has already started for Beijing 2022. I'll talk about who should be in goal for Team Canada during the Olympics. And because it's the weekend edition of the 1420 Sports Podcast, we have a top 5 list for you today. Today's top 5 will be the top 5 Def Leppard songs of all time. So sit back, grab a few beers, and most importantly, let's get into her. Well, all right, let's get going here. The spring training games have started. Like I said earlier in the opening, the Yankees and Jays are facing off. It's opening day of spring training. I also call it overreaction day. Yankees fans right now are probably cursing the team, saying they're not going to win 50 games this year, and Blue Jays fans are already planning the parade with the Toronto Maple Leafs to win the Stanley Cup and the World Series all in one big thing. But anyways, overreaction Sunday. But it's good to have the Yankees back on television. With the other spring training games have started. Got a little beef to pick with Apple before we get going really deeply here. For years, I've subscribed to the MLB app, get all the games on, have 2-3 Apple TVs down in the basement here at the Tavern. Turn it on today. I was going to have a couple of games on. Some of my older Apple TVs, the first generation, they've deleted the app completely off of the screen, and then you can't even stream it from your phone to the Apple TV anymore. So maybe Apple MLB's on to me after all these years of everybody using my subscription service. I still get the one on there though, but Apple, you got the best of me. Maybe I got to go out and invest in some more Apple TVs to replace these older ones. But small gripe, it's good to have games back on TV. Been watching the Pac-12 network, the Pac-12 baseball games throughout the weekend. Lots of stuff going on. Didn't record yesterday. I had a baseball umpire thing conference, and thanks to Chris Hartley for putting that on. It was very enlightening, and gets the guy thinking about hopefully the baseball season that's coming about due to COVID. Who knows with the government and everything else we've talked about in the past. We're not really sure how this is going to play out. Hopefully there is games for not just for me, but for the kids out there so they can participate and get going again. Very important. Anyways, got thinking about this just before I went on the air, before I started recording, that a lot of these guys who are playing in the game right now, not the starters, not guys that are projected to make the opening day roster and all those guys, the guys that didn't get to play at all last year, and they're trying to find their way onto a big league club, whether they're with the Yankees or the Jays or whoever. It's going to be tough for these guys because they didn't get to play. There was no minor leagues last year, so it's going to be pretty tough for them to have a good showing. I mean, there's some playback and everything else. I'm sure they were allowed to throw a little bit, but like hitters going against live pitching and pitchers going against live hitting, it's a whole different thing than just taking some batting practice or throwing some sim games, I guess. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season plays out, or the spring training plays out, and to see how these guys do who are fighting for spots. Anyways, great to have baseball back on TV. Like I said, if I seem a little distracted, it's because I'm trying something new today. I'm recording this for video because we put some stuff on YouTube now, so it's not just doing it through the phone. We're trying to get things to sound a little bit better and production a little bit better than it has been in the past. I know it's been a big gripe for a lot of people. But anyways, so if I seem distracted, it's because I'm looking at myself on the computer screen, and that this ugly mug on there can distract anybody. Anyways, the American League East, I don't think it's an open and shut case for the Yankees to win it. I do believe that they're a better team than they were last year. The addition of Corey Kluber helps a ton, and Jameson Talon. helps a lot. But the thing is with those two, they pitched a total of 1 inning last year. Tommy John surgeries and COVID and the bit. It's a very high risk, but a very high reward signing for the Yankees for their pitching staff. Losing Tanaka, and a lot of guys are happy that J.A. Happ is gone. I'm a Happ guy. I thought Happ was great. He wasn't great in the playoffs. The one game he pitched in last year. But as long as the Yankees can stay healthy and they can get some quality innings out of Kluber and out of Talon, they got a shot at winning the division for sure. Stay healthy, obviously. Stanton and Judge are going to be the glue that holds these guys together. Judge hasn't been able to stay healthy. Stanton hasn't been able to stay healthy. We talked about on the podcast in the past that that contract's going to hinder the Yankees, and they've decided they're not spending money like George used to. We've talked about it on the show in the past. It's just not how they're going to do things. It's not an open and shut case that they're going to win the division. I think that they will. Those guys can stay healthy. I think you're going to see a bounce back season from Gleyber Torres. He was the first guy to admit that he didn't come to once they went for a break because of COVID last year in spring training. He came back. He wasn't in the best of shape. I expect to see a better Gary Sanchez this year. He couldn't be any worse. In fact, he was quite awful last year. And if he's even 10% better than he was, the Yankees should win the division. Not an open and shut case. The team that took a big step backwards, who won the division last year, went to the World Series Game 6 against the Dodgers, is the Tampa Bay Rays. But they're Tampa. They seem to be able to put a team together with a budget, a shoestring budget, I guess as they always say. And how they do it, I have no idea. Their analytics guys are great. They got great manager. But losing not only Charlie Morton, but Blake Snell for a trade to the best jerseys in baseball, best uniforms in baseball, the San Diego Padres. I think that losing those two guys is going to hurt a lot. Losing two quality pitchers like that gave a lot of innings, even though the Rays, they don't go a lot of innings, and they pulled Snell for whatever reason. It doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to lose those guys, but payroll restraints and everything else, and they just said, well, that's it. And they made the deal. Losing those guys, I think, will drop them out of the division, out of the lead in that division. I don't even think that they're going to be it's early, obviously, and who knows. I don't even think they're a wild card team personally, because I think that personally the team that the Yankees are playing right now, the Toronto Blue Jays are good. Vladdy lost a bunch of weight, which helps. He lost 40 pounds, and you can see it on TV today. He looks actually pretty good. That's going to help the team. You got Biggio, and you still have Biggio and Bichette, who are great players. The additions of guys like Springer, no good cheating, Houston Astro, George Springer, hell of a player, signed the biggest deal in in Toronto Blue Jays history. Springer's a great player. We'll see how he does without the banging of drums and everything else. And then the also addition of Marcus Semien from the Oakland A's. That is a big addition. That guy's a good player. He got buried in Oakland, so you don't get to hear about the guy a lot. But Simeon's a hell of a player who's going to help out that ball team a ton. Pitching, do they have that extra arm? That's still yet to be decided to see. But one thing that the Jays might contend with that might be a bit of a hindrance is the COVID situation in Canada and the borders not being open and all that stuff. We discussed it ad nauseum. I'm so sick of COVID, but it's all part of our everyday life. The thing that the Jays, if they got to play all their games in Dunedin, which they're planning to do, that they started they planned their first 2 homestands in Dunedin. We'll see how the vaccinations and all that stuff goes. But if that goes in, the humidity down there and playing in that ballpark, that might wear on them a little bit, and being away from home. Why they decided Dunedin and not moving back to Buffalo, where they were pretty successful last year, and they did get a playoff spot, quasi-playoff spot, the way that the playoffs were last year. But that's going to be a huge thing for the Jays, how long they have to play in Dunedin and not moving, not being in Toronto in the friendly confines of the Sky Dome or the Rogers, whatever it's called. But I think that's a big thing that people forget about. But the Jays are good. If they can get some pitching the third arm out of the and maybe some bullpen help. I think they're going to be right there. They're a decent ball team, and they playing in the American League East. They're going to get a lot of wins because you get to play the Baltimore Orioles, and you get and Boston isn't by any means terrible, but they're not very good. So the Jays, I think if they should be like an 85, 86 win team. I think that they're good for second in that division. Make a trade here or there, you never know. They could challenge the Yankees for the division lead. Move on to Boston. Chris Sale's going to be out still with the Tommy John thing. He's a stud pitcher. Eduardo Rodriguez. He had the COVID scare last year. His heart ain't working like it should be. His lungs and everything else. He's not 100%. He's going to give it a shot in spring training, I guess. But if you don't have two of your best pitchers going, you don't have much of a hope. J.D. Martinez, I think his best days are behind him. The Xander Bogaerts still a good player, but their best days are behind him with J.D. Martinez. And I don't think they're going to recover anytime soon from I know it's a year away, but losing a player to the stature of Mookie Betts, I think that was a huge mistake on Boston's end. The guy's an all-time great. He's going to be in a Hall of Fame one day. Now look what he did with the Dodgers already. Losing a guy like that, it's going to hurt a ton. And it just, I don't know. You can't recover from that. It's just too much. So I expect the Boston Red Sox to still be in a rebuilding stage, which is a weird thing for an American League East fan, and the rivalry the Yankees and the Red Sox have had all these years. It's weird just to hear the word Boston Red Sox and rebuild, which it's too bad. It's not the best rivalry in sports anymore. It's highly overrated now. They're two good teams, or two storied franchises, but it's not a rivalry right now. It's really not. Then to bring up the bottom end of the American League East, of course you got the Baltimore Orioles. They're gonna have a bunch of guys who shouldn't be in the big leagues, a bunch of prospects who aren't ready. Their payroll is next to nothing. They got one guy making any kind of money whatsoever. That's Chris Davis. Already I saw that the Orioles and I think it's Pittsburgh are playing today, and the radio guy, he compared Chris Davis being a pitcher as having a pitcher hitting because he strikes out so much. He just, for 20-some million bucks, whatever he's making, it's most of the payroll of the Orioles. It's not good. It's not good in Baltimore. They're in for a year of pain. It's too bad because they're not that far removed from being a playoff team a couple years back against the Jays. I think it was in 17 or 16. Can't remember. It doesn't really much matter. That they had a chance to advance, and now they're just done. That's not that many years ago. Baltimore's in for a world of hurt. If they win 50 games this year, I'd be surprised in a 162-game season. Hopefully, like we said in the podcast in the past, that they do get the 162 in. Other sports are having troubles. The Raptors had to postpone their game today because of COVID. Their coach wasn't in. The nurse was not on the sidelines the other night. COVID protocols and everything else. So it'd be nice if baseball can get through it unharmed. The other sports are having a heck of a time getting through it. Football managed, but it's a once-a-week thing. I'm hoping for the best. I hope to see 162 games. I'll watch as many as I can. As soon as I get this Apple TV thing straightened out, maybe I'll write a scathing letter or something. I don't know if anybody will see it, but the ghost of Steve Jobs is still haunting us here in the Yankee Tavern North because I value having those games on. It's having every game possible is actually a great thing. But now all these TVs are going to go to waste once the baseball season gets going. So I'll have to do a little bit of rearranging or maybe upgrade my my technology a little bit. It's only the one way to do it. Improved our audio on the last show. Still a couple little tweaks here and there. Dave sounded great. I don't know if you guys tuned in on YouTube to see our final segment with the baseball question. It's quite humorous. Me and the producer watched it last night. That's the most I've actually listened or watched the 1420 podcast since we began back in August. Good news happened yesterday. We met our goal of 5,000 listens prior to the end of the month, which is today, a shortened month. So we're at 5,070 something. So the next goal is obviously the 6,000. But let's see if we can't beat that pace. We're at 6 months into this thing. We got 5,000 listens. That's pretty good. We should let people know about the show and get the good word out there. We'll keep putting them out there as long as you guys keep listening. Baseball season's back. Can't be happier. The Yankees look great in those uniforms. The pinstripes are on, as you can see over my shoulder. For those who are watching on YouTube or wherever you're going to watch this, make sure you listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iTunes Radio, iHeartRadio, and the likes. We're everywhere. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, listen, and give us a rating because that allows us to stay on those platforms for sure. So buyouts and getting paid to not go to work, it's kind of every man's dream, especially a working man like myself, working slug. Sit at home, get paid. Hey, that sounds like a pretty good deal. It happens a lot in hockey. It's the CBA that was signed in 13 or whatever, 14, whatever year it was, doesn't much matter. Basketball happens a little bit with buyouts and everything else, and guys can decide where they play, but it doesn't much matter. But the hockey buyouts it's something else. You hear about some of these deals that these guys get, and then they can not get, or the team doesn't want them. He's underachieving, but the contract's too long, so they find a way to buy out. And I think each team gets one a year or 2 a year. I don't really know. They should do some research on that before I start spouting off about it and making a fool of myself. And you guys correct me online and everything else on Twitter and Facebook, everywhere else, and tell me how dumb I am and don't know the facts. But the buyout thing is something that boggles my mind. How a GM who makes these deals and convinces an owner to yay or nay at salary cap and everything else, and how they can convince an owner after the fact to say, yeah, I signed this guy. Like, he probably says, well, we signed this guy, and doesn't put any onus on himself. We signed this guy for, I don't know, $28 million for 3 years. It didn't really work out. He's not very good. I know that's an oddball number for a contract for a buyout, but just it doesn't much matter. And then to say the owner, but you know what? What we're gonna do? We'll get rid of him, bring in somebody else to stay under the cap. But the thing is, we got to keep paying this guy for like 6, 7, 8 years. How does that sound? Well, to me, as an owner, it sounds shitty. I don't understand how these GMs get away with it and the owner finally probably has the final say and stuff. I understand that, but how the GMs get away with this on a yearly basis for buyouts? Yeah, we'll take this guy. No, like, these owners got lots of money. They're not starving by any means. Well, I shouldn't say all, but most. But they still got to be fiscally responsible. You can't just be pissing money away. It's still a business and everything else. And so I'm curious how that works out. Like, you read about some of these buyouts, and one that really got to me was the LeCavalier signing. It was $80 million or something crazy like that, and 7 years left. They're still going to be paying him, and I don't like, for 7 more years still they're paying this guy to not play in Tampa. And then to top it off, after Tampa released him, the Flyers signed him to a 4 or 5 year deal, I think it was, for $22 million, another 4. So the money he made there is enough to last a lifetime, plus what the Tampa's still paying him, plus what he made prior to his contract. It's absolutely insane, the money that these guys get when it's all said and done, to not play. Here, don't play. Here's some more money. Like, it makes no sense. Like, you look at another one that a guy that got way too much money from another goaltender, Rick DiPietro. Garth Snow was one of his first contracts. I think it was Charles Wang was the GM in New York. Wang was the owner. Snow was the GM. Goalie lover, ex-goalie himself. Gave DiPietro a $100 million contract over X amount of years. Way overpaid the guy because he was going to be a 20-year contract for a goalie. DiPietro really didn't play all that much anyways. Ended up getting hurt, injury problems. Got a buyout of $1 million a year, and I wrote it down here somewhere, till the year 2029. $1.5 million I think he gets for another. What are we in 2021 now, for 8 more years? So he's going to have $12 million in the bank. Plus he's on the morning show, ESPN New York. He's pretty good on the radio, actually. He's better on the radio than he was in goal. The amount of money this guy's getting to not play, I don't understand how this happens on a consistent basis throughout the sporting world. Another one that really, the King Dad, well, you got a guy like the Sabres, they're just a disaster again this season. Christian Ehrhoff, I think his name was. He's getting $7 million, or for 7 more years, he's getting paid. I think he's getting $12 million still owed to him to not play. And they could really use that kind of money, that mess they got in Buffalo. I don't know what goes on there, if Eichel's running the ship there or what's happening there, but that is a terrible franchise. Ownership hasn't been in the playoffs. They're not going to make playoffs again this year. Taylor Hall went there, hasn't done a thing. You got guys, what's his name? He's been a healthy scratch. He's making $9 million a year. The guy played in Carolina for a few years. I'll think of his name in a second here. But he's making $9 million a year. He's been a healthy scratch for a few games. Unbelievable. Eichel he's running that operation, I think, there. What he wants, he gets. And he's no screaming hell of a player. And he's getting $10 million a year. And that team's not making the playoffs. They're really not. That's just a disaster of a franchise. Just been a horror show since they lost out in the Stanley Cup Finals to Dallas a few years back with the Brett Hull goal. It's a lot of years ago now, actually, if you think about it, with the Brett Hull in the crease goal. What a disaster that is. But the King Daddy topper of buyouts, and it's July 1st every year, and all sports fans, especially baseball fans, will know exactly what I'm talking about. The Bobby Bonilla deal. He gets $1.2 million, I think it is, every year on the 1st of July. He gets $1.2 million every year from the Mets till at least 2030. Oh, I wrote it down somewhere here. 2035. So he's got, and that's just a buyout thing. They didn't want to pay him for the 1 year, all the money that's owed to him and everything else with interest and till 2035. He gets $1 million. There's guys who aren't playing now, or who have contracts. Sorry, they have contracts now that are going to expire, and Bobby Bonilla will still be getting paid. I'm not sure how old Bobby Bonilla is, but he'll be. You think he'd be financially set with that payout every year of $1 million, $1.2 million, whatever it is, every year on the 1st of July. And it always comes up on Twitter and everywhere else. And then the MLB Network, they have a little Bobby Bonilla thing on the 1st of July, seeing he's getting some money given to him. It's crazy. Like, these guys, sometimes they get bought out by two teams. I think Phaneuf's still getting paid by the Kings and the Senators. Like, I don't understand how these GMs get away with it. And then rarely do GMs get fired. I mean, it does happen, but it's usually the coach that gets the hatchet job. How these GMs can survive on a yearly basis, and they make these horrific decisions. Yeah, like I said earlier, the owner has to give his seal of approval on it. But my oh my, it's astonishing, and it's always the coach that gets the hatchet for teams constructed by the GM and the assistant GM. I don't understand how these guys can keep doing it. You'd think there'd be more accountability on the GM side of things. So I can't see anyone being happy of having to pay these guys this much money on a yearly basis. These owners aren't stupid. They didn't get rich by being dumb. I mean, some inherited money, obviously. I get that. But you got to have some brains about you to end up with a sports franchise. And how that they allow these GMs to make these decisions to say, hey, we should give this guy seven years at $7 million. If it doesn't work, we'll just pay him for 20 years instead. We'll steal money out of the guy's pocket. It's astonishing to me how this works. Like I said, I'm a working slug, and if someone would say, hey, we'll keep paying you forever, don't come to work though, I'd sign up for that any day of the week. But it ain't gonna happen anytime soon. I don't think that Donovan Bellamy and Medicine Hat, the Dynamics, gonna be doing that anytime soon. Be nice if he did. Hey, Brent, stay home, we'll keep paying you. Be nice, and we can maybe podcast a little bit more and work on the brand a little bit. Speaking of that, that's a segue right there. See how I worked that in? I didn't mean to. But got another order of hats coming in. If you guys want one, get back to me. Got multiple colors we can get. See if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what we got going on. We got different shapes out. We got t-shirts still for sale. Some other things on the go, on the horizon. So make sure, like I said, we don't make any money on this stuff, but it's a good way to get the brand going. get people noticing, get people listening a little bit, because we're all about you the fans. Listen to the 1420 podcast. So purchase some stuff, wear it with pride, wear it with no pride, whatever you got to do. Just let people know that the 1420 podcast is out there, and spread the listenership. We have a lot of listeners throughout the States, throughout Canada. We even picked up a few in Germany, listened to a few shows. In England, listen to some shows. So it's always good to see the good word getting out there. Tell me how I can become a sports GM to make these terrible decisions with other people's money, because I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. I already make bad enough decisions with my money. Must do it with somebody else's as well, because I don't understand how this goes on. Assuming all's right in the world in 2022, the Beijing Winter Olympics return the NHL guys to the Olympics after a one shot missing it, whatever year it was. I don't care. The pro guys going back. It seems like a lock for the goaltending duties for Team Canada are set in stone, but I don't think it's quite as easy as everybody's making it out to be. I could be wrong. It could just be podcast fodder, but I don't think that Carey Price is a lock to be there in 2022. Just giving him the rights to do it, I don't think is a thing anymore. You got a different management group that are under a lot of pressure every year, as Team Canada is, and Canada's supposed to win every year. And Price is putting up some Radlinski-like numbers for the Canadians right now, with an .883 goal save percentage. His goals against average is in the threes. Mine was a lot higher. I was allergic to vulcanized rubber, as we know we've talked about in the podcast before. But I don't think that Price is a lock to be on the team, let alone the starter. He's struggling quite mightily, not doing Carey Price things. I'm sure he'll come out of that slump, but if he carries on the way he's going, he's not even playing for his team that much right now. They've been going out a little bit in net. Price didn't play last night. Maybe it's just a rest and relaxation thing. He was great in the bubble last year in Edmonton, or Toronto, sorry. But I don't think he's a lock to be the starter there, or on the team for that matter. Canada likes to find ways to nurture guys a little bit and bring guys up to get some experience in that situation for future Olympics, like a third string guy. That it helps a lot. Marty Turco did it one year. They changed guys. Remember in 2002, lost my brain for a second there. Curtis Joseph started the first game. Pat Quinn was the coach. Joseph struggled quite a bit. He struggled pretty bad. Marty Brodeur came in to save the day, and the rest is history. Canada came back to win the gold medal. Luongo in 2010, same kind of deal. He got in the net, won the gold medal, and then just ran with it. I don't think that Price is the guy. He was a starter in 2014, I believe, in Sochi, but I don't think Price is the guy moving forward right now. Not because of an age thing. I just don't think. I think he's been struggling with the puck, and he just doesn't seem to have it. I know there's a lot of time between now and 2022 where I will probably change my opinion on this 14 times. You guys keep listening to the podcast. I'll probably say a bunch of different things. You guys come back to me and say, well, you said this. Well, that's why we do 3 shows weekly. We can change our mind like we change our underwear quite often, I guess. Anyways, I personally would go with Jordan Binnington, a winning pedigree with the St. Louis Blues, and he's having a heck of a season. He got a little feisty last night with against the San Jose Sharks. He was trying to take on the whole team at one point. He was a little revved up, but Binnington, he seems to be a winner. He doesn't seem to get rattled too badly. Whatever happened last night looked like a one-off, but he seems to be a consistent guy night in, night out that you could have on for a Team Canada. The thing with it's such a short tournament, one thing goes wrong, you got to have a backup. And if Price is the guy, I think Binnington should be right there. One guy that I don't understand why his one chance with Team Canada, he blew it. 2002 or 3, whatever it was in the World Juniors there. Marc-Andre Fleury, the Flower. I think he should be there for Team Canada. He just keeps putting up wins in Vegas, night in, night out. He's a good team guy, always smiling. I would have him on a Team Canada in a heartbeat. That's why I kind of think that maybe it'd be him and Price battling it out for that spot. And then I think that, now, you're going to tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think that the young up-and-comer is going to be Carter Hart. Hart's been struggling a lot this year. He's not even the best goalie in his team right now. I don't see Hart being the guy that they bring along for future, like right now. He's a young guy, 21, 22 years old. Later on, they might bring him to an Olympics or something like that, or go get him some like a world championship kind of a start on things. But I think that the guy they might bring up is Mackenzie Blackwood. Hell of a goaltender. Is he as good as Hart? Yes. Young as Hart? Yes. Just playing better as of right now. Hart struggles, and if you need a third string guy, the only way he'll get some playing time is someone gets hurt. But if two guys get hurt, but if one guy gets hurt and he comes off the bench, you never know. And I don't think Hart's the guy. I think he's a bit green still. He sees a little bit of work in Philly, but I think he should be. He doesn't put up a lot of wins, and that's the biggest thing. I just for some reason I can see the Team Canada brass. And maybe even Carey Price saying, you know, maybe I don't want to go. I don't know the guy for nothing, but I'm saying, geez, I just have my doubts with Price. He's not the guy that I don't think he's the guy for that kind of situation at this stage in his career. I love the way Fleury plays. I think Fleury is great on a night in, night out basis still. And just that attitude coming off the bench for something like that. And Binnington is he's a fiery competitor, winning pedigree with the Blues. And he's putting up great numbers again this year. So don't be surprised if Carey Price isn't there in 2022. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I've been proven wrong on this podcast a few times. I'm glad people get back to me and call me out on my stuff because it makes it part of the fun of doing the podcast to you guys. But there'll be some debate on Carey Price, especially if he doesn't improve his stats for this season. Like I said, he's putting up Redlinski type save percentage right now, and it ain't good. And so. Before you know it, he makes a lot of money, $9.5 million. That contract's going to hurt the Canadians in a couple of years badly, really badly. And that's like, once again, talk about GMs getting their way, and he signed that contract. The owners are up for it. Like they gotta pay him till 2026, I believe, and that's 4 or 5 more years of playing that brand of hockey. Going to see a lot of losses in Montreal, and Montreal's on the downhill slope. They were the best team in hockey only a month ago, and now they can't win a game. It's been pretty tough sledding. So don't be surprised if Carey Price isn't the guy in 2022 in Sochi. I would go Binnington, Fleury, and Blackwood. I think that's my prediction of what it's going to be. Future shows we'll do the forward and the D corps, coaching staff, and all that stuff. Who we're going to be. Don't be surprised if we don't see Mike Babcock back behind the bench for Team Canada. I know the players don't like him, but he's quite effective in those short tournaments. Babcock took a job with the U of S Huskies, I believe, this week. Didn't do himself any favors, flapping his gums as he always does about past coaching roles and duties he had and everything else, and the way he rubbed players the wrong way. Babcock should just shut his yap and coach the U of S right now and not talk so much about things he did in the past and how great he is, because everybody knows no one likes Mike Babcock quite like Mike Babcock. He's like Josh Donaldson, the president of his own fan club. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the Team Canada 2022 Olympics. It'll be a hot debated topic from now right until the Olympics start and when they choose the team. But I would stay away from Price as of this moment. Price would not be on that team for me. That's my show, my opinion, so I can say what I want. Before we get into the top 5 Def Leppard songs of all time, got a couple little things I want to mention. Luke's lock the week last week was so great. Max Home, we won a few bucks on that. It was looking good yesterday. Luke's lock of the week that he picked on Tuesday, Cameron Smith, best mullet in golf. He didn't fare so well. He birdied the first 2 holes yesterday, and then he went triple, doubles, and Radlinski golf around, slashing around the golf course like he had a hockey stick in his hand instead of a wedge or an iron or whatever it was. But we'll take good with the bad. We'll admit when we were wrong here in the 1420 podcast. Luke, we'll keep going with this throughout the golf season. You did us good the first week, second week not so much, but we'll get back on the horse for next week's golf tournament. And thank you very much, Luke, for participating. Also, having a couple of pops down the Tavern last night and listening to some music, some old time songs that I replayed music all the time. I got a playlist of about 10 songs I play over and over. Anyways, played a few different ones last night, but do yourself a favor. If you listen to this song, this podcast on Sunday or Monday or whenever you guys get around to listening to the shows, I can kind of see when things get listened, not by each person, but the analytics. I can watch a little bit on when people are listening to the podcast. It's greatly appreciated, as I mentioned. But anyways, do yourself a favor and listen to some of these songs that you may have forgotten about or didn't even know about. They're favorites of mine. They put a smile on my face, and I quite enjoy them. So do yourself a favor and listen to 2 of these 5 songs today. Like when you're done listening to this podcast, go on to YouTube and have a catch and listen to a couple of these songs. One that was a radio favorite, I think it still is on some like CJOC and CJCY Medicine Hat and other oldies, I guess, stations. I Can Dream About You by Dan Hartman. Danny Hart's, I call him. Have a listen to that song. Love it. Always puts a smile on my face. One that I didn't remember when it was first out was Survivor. Didn't know it was love. Great tune, enthusiastic rock, fantastic song. Didn't know it was love, Survivor. And another one that's another Survivor song, I Can't Hold Back. Just a great, great tune. Have a listen. Another one, Somebody's Out There by Triumph. I play that one quite a bit. It gets the blood flowing a little bit, puts a smile on the face, gets the adrenaline going, the fast enthusiasm. It's a great song, and one that people are going to laugh at me no matter what. That it's not a love song. It's a good song by I call them Evie and Jerry. It's Evan and Jerry. Crazy for This Girl. I don't know why I like that song. It's one of those quirky things in me. I'm a pop guy, but anyways, have a listen to that one because it's a pretty good tune that you can't go wrong with. Evan and Jerry, Crazy for This Girl. Have a listen to 2 of those 5 songs. Get back to me what you think of them because I think they're really good tunes and they put a smile on my face. Anyways, we'll get to the top 5 Def Leppard songs. Def Leppard's one of those bands that's been around. It's the soundtrack of my youth. From when I was really young to when I played hockey right on through to today, going to concerts of theirs I've been to 2 times. I think I've seen them live. Def Leppard, great music. Everybody, not everybody's a Def Leppard fan, but it's always a party favorite. And when they're on, people are singing along. Everybody knows the words to all these songs. Got a lot of feedback yesterday. Some of the lists were really close to mine. Some weren't. But anyways, number 5, I'm going to go with Love Bites. Good ballad. It tears at the old heartstrings a little bit, and you really reach back onto that one and reach out to, and you pull that one in. Just a great old tune. Can't go wrong with Love Bites. Number 4, this one is... I'm going to go with Promises. It's a lesser known song. I don't make promises I can't keep. Great tune. Ex-girlfriends might not agree with what I just said there, but it's a thing. Promises, a great song. Got a pretty good flow to it, good beat to it. A little faster than a ballad, but it's one of those power ballady kind of songs. Fantastic. Number 4, what I think is a highly underrated Def Leppard song is Animal. Just the woo-hoo-hoo. That's my poor attempt at Joe Elliott singing. I think that's his name. I don't even know. But the Animal, great tune. That's my number 3. Uncle Neil, he also had that at his number 1, so we just kind of flip-flopped that a little bit. But Neil, thanks for the input on Facebook yesterday. That was a good one. Number 2 and number 1 are, I don't think... I'm going to have a lot of agreements on this one. A lot of people, when they think of Def Leppard, all they think about is Pour Some Sugar on Me from the Coyote Ugly soundtrack and other things and stripper songs and all that stuff down at the Peelers and that kind of deal. But Pour Some Sugar on Me, great tune. A lot of smiles over the years to that song. I'm going to go with number 2, Pour Some Sugar on Me. Number 1, Photograph. Came out Pyromania 83, I think it was. Love that song to this day. just fantastic. That song comes on. Daughtry tried to remake it a few years back for no reason. Don't touch that song, anybody. Leave it. It's a classic. It stands the test of time. It's, to me, it's Def Leppard through and through. Other songs on that album are great, but Photograph to me is Def Leppard's best song, and I don't think it's even disputable. Just my thoughts. You don't have to agree with me, but get back to me what you think of my top 5 list. If you think I'm right or wrong, or if you're indifferent to it, let me know, because your feedback is very important to us here in the 1420 podcast, and it adds to the fun that we have with the show on a daily basis. Anyways, that's it for today's show. Short and sweet for you guys out there. 40-some minutes. Really easy stuff to talk about today. Good thoughts in my head that keep going. The show, it's overtaken my life, like I said, but I enjoy it. Got the rest of Sunday afternoon to myself, 2:30 down here in the Tavern. I got USC baseball game. I got a Dodger game on, hockey game on. What more can I got? Some cold Natty Lights in the Natty Lights. There they are in the fridge. Mom's coming over for supper tonight from the homeland. Gonna make some pasta or something. I'm not exactly sure, but anyways, make sure you guys talk to us about the show. Spread the good word about the 1420 podcast. We enjoy doing it for you, like I said. Buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, spread the word. Little advertising, like I said, we don't make any money on it, but it helps spread the word of the show. Talk to people about the show, because we greatly appreciate all the feedback that we get on a daily basis, for sure. And we're over the 5,000 mark. Let's get to 10,000 in 2 or 3 months. Let's try for that. You keep spreading the word to people throughout North America, and it spreads over across the pond too. So it's really good. Mark my words, the Yankees win the American League East as long as they stay healthy. Carey Price will not be on Team Canada. That's our 2 takeaways from today's show. Make sure you listen to at least one of those songs, maybe 2 of those songs I mentioned earlier on. And then, hey, why not play some Def Leppard tonight to wrap the weekend up? Anyways, take care of each other, but more importantly, take care of yourself. You need you around. Keep your stick on the ice. And as Dave says, don't swing at the high ones. We'll see you on Tuesday, folks. Dave will be back in the saddle with us. Have a good weekend, and hope you enjoy the show.